Tired of the feast or famine cycle that comes with freelance work? You land a massive project one month and feel on top of the world only to face a terrifying drought of client emails the next. That unpredictable, fluctuating income makes basic budgeting feel like a guessing game, and long-term savings seem completely out of reach. It is a common struggle for anyone navigating the gig economy, where unexpected expenses can wipe out your hard-earned buffer in an instant. But what if you could engineer your own financial stability, creating a reliable paycheck that arrives whether you secure a new client or take a month off? This is exactly how Maria, a freelance graphic designer, transformed her financial anxiety into lasting independence. We are going to walk through the precise steps she took to build a stable dividend income portfolio from scratch, proving that you do not need a predictable corporate salary to achieve wealth. By rethinking her approach to money and implementing a strategic system, she created a reliable income floor. Her journey offers a powerful blueprint for taking control of your financial destiny, one intelligent decision at a time. How exactly did she break the cycle of financial panic? The reality of Maria's early freelance career was defined by constant stress. Every invoice paid was a momentary relief, immediately followed by the dread of an empty pipeline. She struggled to manage her daily expenses because her cash flow was a roller coaster, making standard financial advice feel useless. Traditional budgeting assumes a steady paycheck, but Maria needed a system built for reality. The turning point arrived when she realized that saving whatever was left over at the end of the month was a recipe for perpetual insecurity. She implemented a specific variable income budgeting method, completely separating her business revenue from her personal pay. Instead of spending what she earned in a good month directly from her checking account, Maria funneled all client payments into a dedicated business holding account. From that account, she paid herself a strict, conservative monthly salary based on her historical lowest earning months. This simple structural change immediately smoothed out her daily spending. The surplus generated during highly profitable months stayed in the business account, building a massive cash buffer that eliminated the terror of slow periods. But a cash buffer alone does not build long-term wealth. With her daily expenses stabilized, Maria turned her attention to making her surplus capital work for her. She discovered the concept of a dividend, which is essentially a portion of a company's profit distributed directly to its shareholders. When you own shares in a dividend-paying company, you receive regular cash payments simply for holding the stock. This was the exact mechanism she needed to create passive income. It was not about chasing rapid, risky stock price increases, but rather acquiring assets that steadily produced cash. To execute this, she needed to select stable dividend stocks that could weather economic storms. Maria focused on companies with long histories of not just paying, but consistently increasing their payouts year after year. She also utilized a dividend ETF, or exchange-traded fund, which is a basket of many different stocks bundled together into a single investment. By purchasing an ETF, she instantly achieved broad diversification, reducing her risk while still capturing that essential cash flow. This intelligent asset allocation meant her portfolio was not reliant on the success of any single company, protecting her from sudden corporate downturns. The initial results were incredibly modest, with her first payouts amounting to just a few dollars. But Maria meticulously tracked every single cent using what she called her dividend watch system. This was a simple spreadsheet where she recorded the date, the company, and the exact amount of passive income received. Watching those small numbers populate the screen provided a profound psychological comfort. It was tangible proof that her money was generating its own independent revenue stream. How could those tiny payments possibly replace a freelance income? The secret ingredient was the power of compound interest, which happens when the earnings on your investments begin to generate their own earnings. Instead of spending those early small payouts, Maria automatically reinvested every single one back into buying more shares. This created a snowball effect. The new shares generated more cash, which bought even more shares, accelerating her wealth building without requiring additional freelance labor. The math works quietly in the background, turning consistent discipline into exponential growth over decades. Those budgeting principles still guided her choices as the portfolio grew. Because her variable income budget protected her from lifestyle creep during lucrative months, she could direct increasingly larger sums of surplus cash into her brokerage account, targeting a reliable 4.5% average yield. The discipline of living on that conservative baseline salary freed up incredible amounts of capital for investing, Every time a major client project closed, a significant percentage went straight into her wealth-building engine. The fear of an unpredictable gig economy was slowly being replaced by the confidence of a growing asset base. She strategically utilized tax-advantaged accounts like a Roth IRA to maximize her returns. By placing her highest-yielding investments inside this specific retirement account, she ensured that her money grew completely tax-free. This meant she would not owe the government a dime on the passive cash flow generated within that account during her retirement years. It is a crucial step for freelancers who do not have access to a traditional employer-sponsored 401k match. Maria was acting as her own human resources department, intentionally structuring her future security. Years of consistent reinvestment transformed the Dividend watch system from a tracking tool into a financial safety net. The monthly payouts grew from enough to cover a coffee, to enough to pay her utility bills, and eventually enough to cover her entire rent. She was actively building a dividend income floor. This floor represented the baseline amount of money she could reliably expect to receive every single month, regardless of her freelance client roster. The magic of compounding was now in full effect. The psychological impact of crossing that threshold was life-changing. With her basic living expenses covered by passive cash flow, the desperation to accept any freelance job completely vanished. Maria could now say no to demanding clients, toxic projects, or unreasonable deadlines. She had the freedom to choose only the creative work that genuinely inspired her, or to simply take time off to rest without facing financial ruin. The portfolio had essentially bought back her time and autonomy. This is the true power of gig economy wealth when managed with intention and patience. It shifts the narrative from surviving month to month to building a sustainable, multi-generational asset base. The companies in her portfolio continued their quiet hum of dividends, distributing cash through market ups and downs. Because she focused on stable, mature businesses, her income floor remained remarkably resilient even during severe economic downturns. She had successfully decoupled her financial security from her physical labor. Maintaining this stability required occasional adjustments to her holdings. Maria performed an annual review of her investments to ensure no single sector dominated her portfolio. If one industry grew too large, she rebalanced her assets, selling a small portion to buy into undervalued areas. This disciplined maintenance protected her income floor from unexpected industry shocks. The lessons from that first budget never faded, as she applied the same careful oversight to her investments as she did to her freelance invoices. You have the exact same opportunity to engineer this kind of freedom. It begins with acknowledging that your variable income is not a curse, but a unique cash flow pattern that requires a specific strategy. By separating your business revenue from your personal spending, you create the necessary buffer to survive the slow months. Then, by channeling your surplus into income-producing assets, you build a machine that works tirelessly on your behalf. The path to wealth is not reserved for those with predictable salaries. Every time you choose to invest a portion of a freelance check rather than upgrade your lifestyle, you are purchasing a piece of your future independence. Maria's story proves that a stable dividend income portfolio is entirely achievable on freelance pay. It requires patience, a commitment to tracking your progress, and the discipline to let your money compound over time. The transition from an anxious gig worker to a confident investor happens slowly, and then all at once as your passive revenue overtakes your expenses. Your financial journey is entirely in your hands. Implement the variable budgeting structure today, open the necessary accounts, and begin acquiring assets that pay you to own them. Watch your own passive revenue grow, tracking every milestone with pride. The Dividend Watch empowers you with the clear strategies and trusted insights to master your money, build lasting wealth, and achieve true financial freedom, one intelligent decision at a time.